Hello my crafty friends, Corrine here from Corrine's Crafts. I hope you are well. I hope you are enjoying your crafting. Have you got lots of Christmas crafting done so far? I hope so. But anyway, I wanted to share this with you today. This is today's project. I just wanted to make it quite simple. Yes, I'm still using the same die that I've used before, but we've just done a little bit of masking, inking, stenciling, and just kept it really simple by using the same die 3 times. And I'll also show you how I made this little banner. You don't need fancy dies, just done it with a punch and my paper trimmer. So if you want to see how I made that, let's have a look. I did say on a recent video that once I get a die set or a stencil or a craft product that I like, I tend to use it quite a lot. And I did, I think it was a pink one. Yeah, it was. Project just in the last week using this gorgeous die set from Sue Wilson. It's a creative expressions one. You get 3 different size trees. So I've got the other ones in here. They're all in this little pouch. This is actually the smallest one, and you get 3 elements for each one. You get the inner die that cuts into your cardstock. You get the outer die that can cut a frame around there or can cut a matte layer, and you also get the larger matte layer as well. Now I'm actually only going to use 2 layers. I'm going to use the outer layer just like this to cut that Christmas tree, and I've done that in a sparkly silver. It is an encapsulated silver cardstock, so it's glittery but there's no glitter. It's totally encapsulated. It's not got that horrible plastic cover on it either that you get on some of the nasty ones. And then this one I've cut into the cardstock with that, but I've also used at the same time, so as not to flatten it, I've used that outside die. So that's now cut that. So because I've used the same outside die on this one as I have on this one, these are going to fit together perfectly. Now if I wanted a little border around the outside, I could have used that one to cut the silver, and then what would have happened is the white would have sat inside. But because I want to make 3 of them, I thought using that outside frame might make it a little bit big. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to get a little bit of glue. Now this is a nearly empty bottle of my tacky glue, or I could use my precision glue. I just tend to go for tacky glue because I am gluing onto the glitter card, and I just find that can be a little bit difficult to stick to just because of the surface. So, and I know tacky glue works. So if you are at all unsure, just get your tacky glue, but just get a tiny bit. So pop that one onto here. That will fit on there. And you see that is the perfect match. I need to get a cloth, and then I can just, oops, pop that on there. I really don't want the glue to be oozing out. So pop those together, and I've got 1 there, and I've got 2 and 3. So those ones are nicely dry, and then that one. Now I need a beautiful background to put these on. This isn't going to be a clean and simple in the true sense of, you know, one colour and nothing, but it's going to be quite simple for me. So piece of cardstock, 6.5 inches by 5 inches, and I'm going to pop it onto here. Oh, I'll tell you what I haven't done with this is I haven't measured. What I'm going to do, top, you'll see it all from scratch, this one, top, I'm going to measure in 3/4 of an inch, and then I'm going to measure 1.5 inches from there. Down at the bottom, don't worry about the marks, they'll disappear. 3/4 of an inch in, and then 1.5 inches on from there. There we are. Right, so once I've done that, I wondered why I'd left that out. What I want to do is, I've just got a piece of card here just so that I've got something to anchor it down to. I'm going to put my card onto here. This is my lowest tack tape. I'm just going to pop it onto my clothes a little bit. There we go. Just take off a little bit. It's the Altenew masking silk tape, which I do like. I'm not pushing it down like I'm trying to wrap my Christmas presents or anything like that, you know, and not wanting it to come undone. I'm just touching the page with it so that it's going to create a seal, but it's not pushed down too hard. So I've now given myself 1.5 inch border down there. So what I want to do is I want to ink it up, but what I want to do is I want to make it darker going to lighter. So I've got a water reactive ink pad, pink tulip, I like that one. I've got myself a blending brush, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with my blending brush onto my masking tape, and it will always, anything that's on your masking tape, especially as this one's a silk tape, will then just travel onto the card. You can work it on now or later. So I'm going to start on this side, and it also stops me getting that cloudy effect by starting on the masking tape or silk tape, satin tape, whatever you want to call it. Start it there. So I definitely want it to be stronger. I'm going to work up to the other piece of tape, but I want it to be lighter. You see, there we go. So we're just working it down, keeping it darker on one side than the other. I just thought it'd look pretty just to be sort of faded. So we can come across there, all the way across. Now when I prepped this to see whether what I'm planning to do, I didn't make the whole card, but I just made this top panel. I wanted one that was dry. I did actually at one point lift up the masking tape. Now you see there's hardly any colour difference, so I do want to go in a little bit harder with the pink. Just dragging it across. You can have a look, and we're going to do some stenciling in a minute, you know, and you can always lift up your stencils and have a look. So we're just going to, really don't want to blend any darker, does it? Just go across like, there we go. I can see that it's going right. Okay, so I think once you take the silk tape off, you will see a line there. It won't be white. It looks white, it's against the purple, but it won't be, I promise. There we go. Right, I'm going to leave it at that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in a stencil. Now this stencil is from the Feeling Festive stencil set. You can see it's intense snowfall going down to less at the bottom. Oops, I don't need the little square one. So I'm going to pop this onto here. When I did this practice, I had a bigger piece of card. Okay, so what I'm going to have to do here is put that on there, and then I can stencil it. I can adhere it onto my table. That's not a problem. And just here, there we go. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in with, there it is, my Duet ink pad. So I've got Raspberry Ripple, a little bit stronger, and I'm going in with a small brush, and I'm just going to again work down this side, and I'm just going to blend it over so it's paler as we go. You could go darker at the top and paler as you go down to the bottom, but I want to sort of transition light to dark or dark to light, whichever way you want to look at it. So I'm just working, and the reason I've gone for a little brush is some of these holes are really small. Got it there, didn't move it. Just bring it over, just put it in there, working it into those holes. Like I say, they're quite small holes, but I'm definitely trying to do it darker to lighter. And this is where you can lift up that and have a look, and you can see, look, definitely darker down that side. If you want it even, then you go even. It's entirely up to you. Right, now there is a little bit of ink on the stencil, which is really quite a handy thing to have. I'm going to just leave a little bit of ink on my stencil, just like this. There we go. Right, so what I'm going to do next is I'm going to come in with a glitter paste, sparkly glitter paste. Well, glitter paste would be sparkly, wouldn't it? And I'm going to take the lid off. I always leave my foil on to help stop it drying out. Take a little bit. I'm not going to go mad with this. I'm going to start at the top, and I'm just going to blend it out. But my glitter paste will go slightly pink because I've left ink on the stencil. But that's quite good. I'm quite happy with that. I find that all my pink glitter pastes are quite garishly pink. So I didn't want to use those. So I just thought, I use a clear, and then let it pick up any ink off the stencil, and then it will turn the glitter paste pink, but it'll be a bit more subtle and a bit more sophisticated, I guess. So look at that. I'm just picking up that ink there, and you can see my glitter paste is going pink. I could have mixed the colour off the stencil, but then I could have ended up with more than I needed. So I'm just really making sure. Look, if I just lift that off, can you see? Can you see how pink that glitter paste has gone? And that's just by picking up the ink. There we go. Just making sure I'm not wasting any. Just drag it across because that's on the masking tape, and then I can pop it on. And then all I need to do, put my lid straight on my glitter paste, nice and tight. And then all I need to do is pick that up and pop that over there. And I'll go and get that washed nice and quickly. So now I have, look at this panel. And it really is like a pink glitter paste, isn't it? So I'm just going to pick that up there. I use these time and time again. And then what I'm going to do is, if you remember, I always say, try and remove your tape. Now, I could have wiped down the tape and then it could be usable again, but this has got glitter paste on. So it's going to have to go in the bin because it's not really reusable. All off in one go, yes. No catching. And then my next one at a nice angle. Oh, it definitely helped touching it onto my clothes, just very slightly. Now, what you could do is, if you wanted to, you could have done this panel here on a larger piece of card, let it dry, trimmed it down, and then mounted it onto your card. But I wanted it flat, apart from the glitter paste, obviously. I wanted it to be straight onto my card. Doesn't that look beautiful? Now, I can see a little bit of glitter there. So all I would do, and I linked to this in my thing, is use my glue pickup tool, and I just, or glue eraser, just give that a rub. And that will just remove any excess glitter that you've caught, because glitter is just glue. So now you just want to leave that. Now you can either leave it to dry or force it to dry. It's entirely up to you. Now this one I made just before I went and had something to eat a few minutes ago, and it's perfectly dry. So it's been here maybe an hour, and that's lovely and dry. And you'll see I've got the 3/4 of an inch, 1.5 inches, and then the rest of my card. So I'm going to build that up onto my project. So I started with an 8-inch card base, and I've trimmed it down, and I'm going to use a little bit of that silver that you saw. I'll tell you what I am going to do, and I meant to do this before. I'm going to quickly show you how I take out the centre of my card. I do it with a paper trimmer like this. That's the right way around, yeah. And then I like a 3/4 inch border. I think if I go much lower, it gets a bit flimsy. So from the cutting groove, we've got markers, and I can see 3/4 of a mark there. So I'm going to line my paper up to 3/4 of an inch there. It's quite handy because I've got lines, so I know it's straight. And then I can see this is 7 inches by up to 0. So I'm going to start at 3/4 of an inch, or 6 1/4, which is 3/4 from the edge. And I'm going to cut up to 3/4. And then you can see, look, it's cut through beautifully. Turn it round, put it back on the 3/4 inch. Turn it round. I can see where that is. I don't even have to look at a mark because I've just lined this groove up with there. And I'm going to come down to 3/4 of an inch from the bottom. Now this is 5.5 inches wide, so I'm going to go down to 4 3/4. It doesn't have to be exact, but you can see that's cut lovely. Turn it back round to 3/4 of an inch, line it up to where it's cut to, and down to 3/4 of an inch from the bottom. Like I say, these measurements can be anything you want. That's at 1 inch, so I'm going to move it to 3/4 of an inch. Oops. Just like that, making sure I press tightly up against the top so it's nice and square. Line up with that cut and cut it up to that cut. If you overrun, it really doesn't, because you can see there, look, I've overrun a little bit. It doesn't matter because my mats and layers are going to cut. But there you go. I've now got, that is a perfect 3/4 of an inch aperture, and I've got another piece of card to use on another project. So I just thought I'd show that because that doesn't get shown very often. We say gut the card and people don't always know how we do that. It cuts down the weight. And it also means that you're not using all your precious resources. So that piece in the middle will now be able to be used on other projects. For a bit like I've done today, cutting out the trees and things like that. Works really well. And you'll see 3/4 of an inch. It's still robust enough for me to be able to handle. You start getting less and it gets a little bit flimsy. So there we go. Pop that on. It's nice, even border all the way around. Onto there, I'm going to add a white layer. 1/8 of an inch smaller. So we can go there. I always start from the top. I know I glue them down from the bottom, but I always start with my top piece. So for this project, I decided that 5 by 6.5 worked, and then I've cut my mats and layers going down to work out the next one. I'm gluing them starting from the bottom, but I cut them from the top. So I cut this piece first, then I cut that piece 1/8 of an inch bigger than that. Then I cut this piece 1/8 of an inch bigger than that. Then I cut the silver piece 1/8 of an inch bigger than that. That's just my way of working. If you want to adopt something like that, that's fine. If you find a different way works, you might find you want to work with standard card bases. So you start with your card base and go upwards. But I nearly always start from the bottom. I'm going to put that like that. I'm going to just get my pressure tool. I'm just going to burnish that down just like that. And don't you think, I like the white between the pink and the silver, and I also like 1/8 of an inch border. I just think it's a really, really nice border. So I'm going to get this, and I'm going to cut myself a piece of foam tape. Sticks to all the way, and I'm going to pop that onto here. One, I usually pull a piece off, do 2 pieces at either side, get whatever's left, fold it in half, and then put those in the middle like that. That's just my way of doing it. Now, this is a really good tape. Don't think I'm putting glue on it because I don't trust the tape. I really do trust the tape. I'm putting glue on this now because I want to be able to move it around to know that I've got it perfectly placed. Foam tape, it's a good foam tape, and it'll grab and it'll hold. I've now put wet glue on top of that. So that means, let me check my cards the right way up. Yeah. That means that if I put it down, I'm just going to put it down, let go. Now, if that was foam tape on its own, it'd be stuck, but it's not. I can lift it completely, you can see, back off the card. And that is why I do that. The number of times I've gone to position something and dropped it, and then it's stuck where it touches. So I just like to put that little bit of glue on just to give me time to adjust. And you can see now, look, I've been able to make sure my mats and layers are perfectly straight. Really, really like that. Okay, so let's find my little trees. Now, I've made one other piece, and I want to just quickly show you this. So I've just got a stamp. My stamp is from a Christmas set. It was from here, and I've stamped it onto white with pink. I've done it with glue, pigment ink, thank you, couldn't remember the word, and I've heat embossed it. But I didn't have a label die to cut it out, so all I did was I stamped it onto a piece of card, and then I took a corner punch. Now, corner punch, you usually put them onto squares. So what I wanted to do is I put it onto here. So this is just going to cut out a little edge piece. So I'm putting it in at the corner. I'm going to have to put it down to show you. Put it down in the corner, push it all the way, making sure it goes all the way, and press. Now, it couldn't do the full clip because of the way I've put it in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it down on the other side, and I've got now a little tag. I'm just going to show you on a bigger piece of card. If I had the full size piece of card, I'd get that lovely corner element. Can you see, like little lips? But because I didn't have enough in there, it's just cut me that out, and then it's done that. So then I turn it around and do the other end. This is what I say about look at what you've got and see how you can make it work for you. And then I've cut that, and it now looks like a tag. So all I've done, I did stamp first so I knew where to do the corners. Then I've done it on, I matted it onto the pink layer, made the pink layer, you can just see fraction bigger, and then put it into the corner punch and punched it again. And then these are just some little, they're not gems, but they're like flat ones. So it looks like brads, but they're not. So that's going to go onto my card. And I'm actually going to get, let me see if I find, a slightly thicker foam tape than the one I used before. So this one is slightly thicker. Still a nice big roll. Just from Amazon, those ones, the thicker ones. And that goes on to there. I'm not going to stick it down, but I'm just going to put the tape on. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to use these 3 trees, and I'm going to put one just there, one, I'm going to put them at different heights, and one like that. So I've just got to make sure they're in the right places. Do you think I should put one coming out of there? I think I should. Just like that. So I'm going to put them just like that. There we go. So let's put this on first. If I was lining it up in an exact one, I would probably use my glue on it, but I'm not. So I'm just going to centre that so it's roughly the same place. Then I'm going to get these 2 and I'm going to put them on flat with some nice glue on the back. And I'm going to put that one just there. Just holding that down. Tacky glue is really good for things like this because it's quite a heavy weight. And another one on there. Remember, with tacky glue, less is more. The less glue you have, the quicker it becomes tacky, so the firmer it attaches. I want that one at a different height. Now, when you're doing things like that, if you don't make it very obviously a different height, it's going to look like you've gone wrong. So I'm putting that very obviously a different height, not just like, oops, I've slipped. Different height. I want it to be properly different height. Right, see if I can see it. There it is. 3D glue. Now this one's just taken a minute to stick because it's over the glitter paste, and the tree is trying to curl up just a little. Look at that. It's trying to curl up. I'm not using the 3D glue as a 3D glue. I'm just trying to find something a little bit more tacky. There we go. Then I'm going to put 3D glue all the way across the back of here. Could you use foam pads? But because I've got lots of different layers, I think that'll work best. And then I'm just going to put that on there and give it a little press. So I think, no, I'm going to try and find a couple of, I think I might just use a couple of those. So I might just finish it off. Oh, why do those little ones always try, with a couple of, that one just bounced. Gems, water crystal gems, just there. 1s, 3s and 5s. So if you've done 3, find your 4 rather, find your 5th one and stick that on, because it's always 1s, 3s and 5s. Don't ask me why. We do it in gardening, we do it in crafting. It just works really well. There we go. And that is today's project. What do you think? I really like that. Really simple. You could put it all, you could clump them together. You could use all sorts of different designs. But I really think that is so pretty, isn't it? Something a little bit different. Not quite clean and simple, but a lot simpler than some of my designs. But something that I think everyone could achieve just with a little bit of masking tape, your inks. If you don't have glitter paste, then you could just do it just purely with the second ink coming through. That's absolutely fine. If you've only got one pink, then just do it finely on the background and a little bit heavier on the stencil. So really, really beautiful. I hope you like that. I think that's really pretty. And thank you for watching. And thank you to everyone who has been subscribing. If you are new around here, thank you for coming back. I really do appreciate it. Try to do 4 projects a week, which can be quite hard with me still working, but yeah, I'll try and bring you as much inspiration as I can. It's always fantastic for me if you can click at the links in the description down below, and there's also the link to my Buy Me a Coffee page down there. But as always, as I say, please don't forget to subscribe. The link will appear just at the top here, and thank you for watching, and I'll be back very soon.